tips and tricks on Tradingview. So I think I'm going to start off with this. I'm going to start off with, it doesn't matter what pair you're looking at, right? You can look at whatever it is, doesn't matter. And what I want you to do, and I'm going to erase this chart. And first, easy thing to do, right? If you draw everything out, and let's say you have all these things on your chart, number one, hit the remove drawings and it'll clear everything. No one should ever have this remove indicators as an option. If you do, you ain't trading smart money concepts, right? So the remove drawings immediately clears your screen. However, let's say that you're teaching and you don't want to delete your chart. You can go here, hit this eye, and it'll hide everything. So if I drew a line there and here, right, I hit this, and then just for aesthetics and for if I'm teaching or explaining something, then I can hide. This is a really good before and after kind of situation that you can help with. Let's say you're doing an example, or let's say whatever it is, right? So that's a really good way to do it. That's one small thing going forward. Now, a lot of you might have indicators here at the bottom, volume, or there's just small things that I think people have. So let's say you have, I think there's just one that's almost always on random people's screens, and they just don't know how to keep it, how to take it out. So a lot of people might have this one, right? So if you have that, then you can just right click and then remove it. Cool, clean it up for yourself. That's the biggest thing first, is you want to make sure that everything on your screen is beautiful, right? Is clean and has little to no distractions. Sound good? All right, pretty sure they can raise their hand. Awesome. Okay, beautiful. So now with that being said, a lot of you, if you want to have your charts look really cool, what you can do is, because people have asked me before, so I'm going to make sure this is noticeable. Actually, what I'm going to do is, here is where you can kind of adjust your screen. So what I just did was that I right clicked on the background, and then you can open up a couple different settings. So anytime you want to add an alert, let's say you want to do it right here, you right click at the exact price, and then you can add it to that exact price. So you don't need, so here you see how I have a crosshair, right, at 1.1372, I right click there, and then it'll add the alert to exactly that price. So what is an alert? Right, what is an alert? This is what, if you have your Tradingview on your phone, if you don't have Tradingview on your phone, get it right now. Download Tradingview on your phone. I know it's 100% on Apple. I had an Android, my last phone was an Android, and I don't think we have it. But what's cool is that if you do have Tradingview on your phone or on your tablet, then it'll send the alert on there as well. How do you show the pair in the background? I knew someone was gonna ask that. Someone always asks that. I'll get to that, right? And let's say you don't have the app, or for whatever reason you can't have it, then it can send you an email. So it'll send you an email when it hits. And so what I recommend for you to do is that you do this in certain times. So for example, if we have equal highs here, right? Let's say you have these equal highs here, or maybe you just here, whatever you want to draw it. What you can do is you can right click on that line. See that, Maria Lisa? You can right click on that line, and then you can add alert on that line. So when it crosses that line or that price, it'll alert you. Okay, so then you can add that. So now you're not waiting for it to clear liquidity. As soon as it hits, then you're paying attention. All right, so you'll get that alert like, yo, it just hit. So let's say price is over here. I can draw this out, extend it, so that if it crosses this, sends the alert. And I know on my phone, on my email, right? If you get a different account, you can even get this alert through your text. Right? If you have, it'll tell you right here on more actions. Oh, and big thing too is that you can add an alert. So you can write crossing liquidity on daily. So you kind of know what you're looking for. Is it a big move? Is it a small move? And then you can have it also send you a text. And now in order to get this one though, you need to have, you put your phone number there, and then just make sure your emails are free. And so yeah, this is awesome. This, I believe it's only available if you have Tradingview Pro, which is like 15 bucks. And what I'm gonna do right now is I'm not gonna send you my link to refer someone. Just ask whoever has Pro, that's like, whoever your mentor is, ask them. And then they'll send you this link, because I'm cool with paying for this if other people don't have to. So there's a refer a friend here link. Please send this to your team. That way, like, things benefit the right people and everything like that. So yeah, this refer a friend is really cool because you can have Tradingview Pro for free for a couple months. So, and you get $30 when the person actually ends up paying for it in the future. Right, so here's your link. You know, I'm not going to send you mine. Just whoever's your mentor, have them send it to you. If they sleep on it, then I'll send you mine. Sound good? Funny. So, anyways, TradingView Pro, it's cool. However, if you don't want to get TradingView Pro for whatever reason, TradingView Pro gives you like 10 alerts so that you can have one on Euro USD. The US 30 alerts are so fire. But let's say you're not really focused on alerts, but you're tired of that little pop-up. Here's what you can do. You can get this browser. It's called Brave browser, right? And what's cool about this browser here is that it's like the crypto browser, and it blocks ads and trackers and stuff like that. So if I go to tradingview.com here and I don't have Pro, it stops from those alerts that every 5 minutes ask you like, hey, get TradingView Pro, right? So it stops those from showing up. So let's say you can afford it, or it's not a priority for you for whatever reason, then this will just not bother you all the time. It won't do it. So it's pretty dope. Kind of a way around it, but it only makes it less annoying. It doesn't give you more value. You know what I mean? So it's not like you have Pro, but you just don't have those ads showing up all the time. So you can use that one. If you sign up for Pro and then cancel it, and after you pay, they offer a year for 60% discount. That's amazing. It's called, I'll show Jose in a sec. I pay $5. That's lit. So there you go, guys. Brave browser. It's really cool. It's really fast. I'd highly recommend it. So now you know how to avoid annoying alerts for TradingView, sending and then setting alerts for yourself. Please do that. Easy ones is set alerts for these 3 things. Here's where you want to set alerts for. All right, here. When to set alerts, or what to set alerts for. So you have equal highs / lows, mitigation, right? Mitigation. So if you know there's an institutional candle that bought, like, banks bought, and then you're waiting for it to come back there, set it at exactly that point or right before it, so you have a little bit of time to respond to it. So mitigation, price, those are really the biggest ones. Are set them there, and then that way you're kind of waiting for it, or generally set them right before so that you have time to respond to it, and then that way you're not like just looking at your screen all the time. You know what you're waiting for. So this is what you want to set your alert for: is equal highs and lows, like here, or where mitigation is. So where an institutional candle popped off, that's where you want to take that alert. All right, cool. This will save you a lot of time, so you're not on your phone all of the time, and your laptop all the time, so you're not paranoid. All right, sound good? Any other questions on just alerts and stuff like that? Just make sure either raise your hand or whatever, ask a question. Sick. Cool. See, we're already looking for easy ways around TradingView, so that's cool. That's really dope. Okay, so Jose asked how to put the watermark, which looked really dope, right? So go to your settings, and then I think it's appearances, and then your watermark. So you can start to shift it, right? So you see how now it says Euro USD, then it says the time frame, and then it fully sends the currency, right? So what you can do here is then change the color scheme. So here's where you can kind of have fun with it, right? Make it something a little bit lighter, right? The more opaque it is, then the lighter it's going to look, right? The further you go into it, then the darker it's going to look. The only thing is that like this will be super obnoxious, like if you keep it like that, because then your candlesticks are in front of it. So sometimes it's a little bit too much. So play around with it, have fun with it. Go to settings, appearances, and then watermark, and then just do your thing. So anyways, as far as that goes, that's pretty much it as far as aesthetics. I like to have the black and white because now it doesn't create, there's no emotion, there's no psychology behind up and down, what's good or bad. That's why it kind of made sense to do black and white, because the market is, binary. It's up or down. So there's no good or bad. It's just is what it is. So this, I think, just kind of removes any kind of emotion from any direction. And then it's just the chart work. So those are the things that I think are just simple little things that help you. Cool. All right. So as far as more tips and tricks, you all need to have your little toolkit, right? So down here, you can create certain things that you use all the time. So how do you do that? So this is, hit this little star button, and then you can start to have a toolbox. So some of you have nothing. And so here's what you got to do. What are things that you use all the time? Trendline, that's pretty useful. So I'm going to recreate my toolbox with you guys. That way you can kind of see what things I use, and then what things maybe you want to use. Some of these tools I use because I teach, but you might not have to use them, right? So I'm going to unstar all of these, and then that way we can kind of make this together and this is just like quick. So now you don't have to search for these things, figure out like, oh, wait, where's that one again? What does this one do? And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pretty much break down what a lot of these do, because a lot of you might not know what these things even do, right? So let's start from the top. Right here, the cross. This is the cursor. So I like this because it gives me the vertical and then the horizontal, right? So here I can see the time if I move it. At the bottom, right, it tells you what day it is. Different time frames will tell you times. And then obviously it highlights the price, so I can see it's at 1.1241. So that's what you can always use that for yourself. And then before I go even into that, this is something that I think a lot of people didn't realize was a thing, and it was this. And what this is this is the open of whatever candle I'm hovering over. So you notice I'm on this candle the 25th of September 2019, and so over here, this H, that's the high for the day. The L next to it is the low of the day. The O on the first one, the O, that's where the market opens that day. And then at the end, the C is where the market closed that day. So if I'm looking at the 1 hour, it's the same thing, but it just applies to that specific candle. So this candle right now, it'll tell me the open of the candle, the high, the low, and the close. Yep. Yeah. Well, this will be uploaded to the YouTube. So yeah, this will walk you through a lot of really cool things. And a lot of times, like if you're looking at weekly opens, weekly closes, it's super interesting to keep in mind, right? You'll start to kind of remember every pair has an average of how much it moves. Right now, everything's pretty volatile, so it might not follow those rules, but in general, like most pairs have averages on what they move. And so if you do want to find out kind of what's the rough average, then you can go to this website here, the volatility calculator. I'm going to copy and paste that into the chat. And what's cool is here, okay, over the last 10 weeks, what's the average in pips that these pairs are moving? So look at this. Like, guys, I've been looking at this for almost 4 years, and all of these averages are way higher, like way higher. Especially GBP is insane right now. Yeah, Euro NZD has never been, almost all of these are way higher. Euro USD is a bit higher than usual. So yeah, you can start to use that as a tool. So in the chat, here's how you can kind of see on average how much the market moves, certain specific pairs or indices or whatever. Okay, so now you understand what this means here. You can use that as leverage. Now let's go over the cursors. The dot, I don't know, to me is, I don't know, it's okay. Right, you still have the cursor, so it's really just preference, same thing, arrow. This now you kind of lose the cursor, so I don't really like it as much. And then the eraser is kind of cool because this is where you can just click, and let's say I draw a line here, right here. If I go to this, I can just erase everything. So this here, like that, it's gone, and then so on and so forth, right? But to me, the cross is kind of my favorite. It's just, I think it's clean. Now, here's where we start to use certain tools. So Trendline, ironically, I don't use it to draw trends. I use this to draw lines. So for equal highs, here's a trick, and this will save you a lot of time, and you'll make your chart super neat. Before you, as soon as you click it to start the trend line, then hit shift, and then hold on, let's go. Click this, right? Click here, hit shift before you move anything, and then you can move it just to the right, and it'll be a straight line. It will never, ever go wrong. And then if you go down a bit, it'll do a 45-degree angle. So it'll keep it really straight, and it'll just pivot from wherever you started. All right, so do that for your lines. And then let's say you need to extend it. Click on it again, hold shift, and then you can extend it outwards a bit more. So then now it's a little bit longer, your longs stay straight, your charts look sexy. Of course. And then if you want to do the same thing, you can just literally control C, you copy it, and then over here, paste it. And you can just move it over if you want, or you just do the same thing. For Mac, for Shift, I'm not sure. I think Mac users are gonna have to answer that. Looks like yes, perfect. Yeah, so we'll do the same thing. So again, just do this with me. Yes, I'm showing you this. If you have two monitors specifically, then you can see it. Click it, don't move anything, hit Shift, then highlight it over. It might be a little bit weird in the beginning, but over time, you'll get really, really good at it. So this allows you to do that. Keep that. So you're gonna wanna keep this as a star, and then what you'll see is, you'll start to see it show up here. Here's your little toolbar. So you can keep this wherever you want, whether it's here, at the bottom, at the top, do whatever you want with it. So then now, anytime you need it, it's already gonna be on your screen, so you can just click it, easy access, you don't have to go hunting for it. And then what the cool thing is, once you have this here too, and you have the settings that show up right over here. So some of the lines, maybe you already have certain settings for certain things. So if you want, let's say you draw red lines really often, what you can do is, let's say we go here. You can say, you know what, I only want this line. I need this line to be red. I need it to be dashed. And I actually want it to have no arrows. And then I want to add text to this line. So I want to write equal highs. And then so now your trend line has that written right on it. And then you can change the color, font, everything. So you keep them super, super clean. And this just looks really nice. Like equal highs there. Make it bold if you want, italicized. Then you have it there. You can change it and make it whatever you want. The middle point, you can add that if you want to. Keep it aligned if you want to head at the top, the middle, center, whatever. So you can just mess around with this. The one thing that I do recommend, and this is to keep, again, your chart super organized, the visibility. So if you don't want it visible on the seconds time frame or the minutes, just on the hourly time frame, then here's the hours, and then you can make it just from 1 to maybe the 4-hour chart. So now this is only visible on the 1 hour through the 4-hour chart, and that's it, right? So that's what you can do. Let's say if you want this visible on the 1 hour and the daily chart, then you add it here too. Otherwise, this will only be visible. So let's say now I have this here, and I know, okay, I'm always drawing these lines. This is what I want it to look like for equal highs. So you can set a template, and actually I can delete like all these, but you can set a template and save as equal highs. Now, let's say I delete it, right? Let's say I draw this out here, and then I draw this line again, right? I go to hit that right there, shift, slide it over. Now this is what that's gonna look like. And if I want, I go to my settings and I go, okay, you know what? This is what my equal highs one looks like, and this is what's gonna show up for you. Because this is the setting that you made, and it's always gonna be there. So you can do that with your charts. And you can make those templates with all of them, everything. So you can make it for equal highs, equal lows, and for every different settings. And even right away, you can add alert to that line here. this is one thing that's really important. And I'll show you for like one of the next tools is right away here, change the width, the color. If you want more, then you go to the settings. And then I'll show you guys a little bit more about locking it, hiding it, and all this other stuff with a few of the other ones. So outside of that, really the other one that I like to use is a horizontal array. And the reason I like to use this one, and I use this one for like institutional movements or whatever. So let's say that, I don't know, let's say that, you know what, this is right here. This is where the market shot up. So I'm waiting for it to come back here. So I know in the future, when it comes back to this line, this is exactly where the market will come and mitigate or close a previous trade. And so you can have it set up again. You can double click too if you want to go straight to the settings. And then you can change the color to something like this, change the depth of it. So yeah, so this same thing, you can make it so it says something, let's say if it says pending mitigation or whatever, then I can save it. So every time, save it as pending whatever, and every time that is exactly what I want, I just go to the default. Because sometimes you're drawing lines that are black with other things and you want it to change automatically to that, then you can change it. And then the nice thing is I like to align mine to the right, so I always kind of know what it is, but you can make it to the left as well, so then you'll see here, it shows up over here. So I like to keep it to the right because the chart all the way on the right is usually open, right? And then you can make it wherever you want it to be. So yeah, and here's where you change the thickness. So if you want like a really fat line, there it is. I don't think you need it like that, but whatever you like. And then now you have it. Let's see what questions you guys got. Okay, cool. So, all right, you have now the horizontal array. Remember, a horizontal array, it's only draws from the point that you set it at to the right. Now you can change it if you want, and you can make it so the line moves different. And again, as always, you can set what charts it's visible on. So this is important because what might be relevant on the minute time frame might not have anything to do with the daily and the weekly. So you don't want some random line showing up when you're looking on the daily time frame, right? You want to keep this with what pertains to only this. So going forward from there, you have, you can add really anything you want. I don't really use many of the rest of these. To me, they're not really necessary, right? So yeah, I just use that. Another cool thing you can do is that when you want to point things out, if you're teaching somebody, you can just put a trend line here, and then just use this to kind of guide towards certain things. If you think the crosshair isn't enough, if you want to point specifically to that, then you can use these trend lines to just guide. I think it's a little bit better because then people can follow with color, and then you can just walk them through kind of like that. You've seen me probably doing this on Go Live sessions every once in a while. And so if you're doing this, if you right click, and then you can, if you don't want to right click and delete it, you can just, if it's already selected, like you can see here, these two dots, then you can just hit the delete button on your computer and it'll disappear. So now you have 2 items in your toolkit here. All of these are pretty much, you're not really going to use many of these, to be honest. These are like tools other than the Fibonacci one. Now here's probably what a lot of people are here for, is the Fibonacci one. Because now this will be a quick Fibonacci class. That'll be a little quick. So what we're gonna do is, if you're gonna draw this fib level, remember the purpose of Fibonacci is to measure the movement of either structure, market structure, or to measure the movement of an imbalance. So we can do something like this. Go here, click on that. It's also over here. It's also over here, your toolkit. I can click on it there and then slide it up to the top. So if I'm bullish, I'm gonna draw it from the bottom, from where the movement starts to where it ends. That's always the key, right? From where it starts to where it ends. So one thing I've done, and what you can do, and I'm really only gonna add kind of significant prices at this one. And you can just do different things, but I'm gonna have this one here, and it's gonna be only for specific prices. So what I'm going to teach you, and this is something that I'm going to color code for you, and I'm going to do it in front of you so you can understand a bit better. And so certain pullbacks go to certain extensions. So what I did was I engineered this fib retracement tool to not just show me the pullbacks, but to actually show me the extensions. So not just where it can pull back to, but where it can go to. So here are the numbers. And what I'm going to do is, I think that should be enough. Cool. So there we go. Here are the fib retracement tools. I'm gonna put this in the Zoom chat, and then you guys can highlight this and send it to whoever you want. Cool. So use that, drop it wherever you want. Save it. I'm gonna save it. I'll have Tim save it somewhere so he has it too, and he'll keep it organized. I'm sure Nance will do the same thing. So those are the numbers you input. Now, what I'm gonna do is, actually, I'm gonna send that again because I'm gonna color code it for you. The first time I did this, I put a lot of thought into it, and I kind of did it based on chakras. So literally, like the furthest pullback and extension was like the highest chakra. It was a whole thing. But regardless, if it pulls back to this 886, I'm gonna make it a little darker. To that 886, it's gonna extend to the 146. That's the traditional extension. And what you'll notice is that since it pulls back the farthest, it's going to extend the least amount, but it's really extending the same distance than from the 786 to the 272. It's extending pretty much the same distance, except that here you have a way better risk to reward. Because let's say I'm going to trade this and I'm going to hold a big movement. Now I'm only risking, from here to here, and I'm going for all of this. So let's say I was like a swing trader or a position trader, from 886 to this previous low, it looks like it's a, 80 pip stop loss. Obviously we don't trade 80 pip stop losses, but it's an example. And the 80 pip stop loss, but my profit, right, how much I can make is all the way up here. And that's 750 pips later, right? So 80 for 750, a 9-to-1 plus, that's pretty lit, right? So this is ways you can take profit. So of course, when you're taking profit, equal highs, equal lows, but also this extension is super, super powerful, considering if you're following, the structure and you're pretty sure it's going to go towards equal highs. So this is a really, really good way to use this tool. One thing you'll notice too is that, and this is kind of a trick, if you see equal highs and it pulls back to the 886 and it's already in a bullish structure, then what it can do is the market can come up to this 146, and this is where it'll take out liquidity before it pulls back again. Backtest that yourself, and then you'll kind of start seeing it play out. So 886 to 146, the 786 here, right? The 786. Now here we can use maybe one like this one, or like this one. I'm gonna do this one. These look too similar, I think. And then the 786 goes to this 2072. So then the reason I'm doing this is so I can help you remember the numbers, because you see, okay, the blue goes to the blue, the purple goes to the purple. Got it? And then same things. Here it goes to there. 71. We can go green to green. And so one thing that I want you guys to understand is that this 146 number, I legitimately broke down the code of like sacred geometry on the Fibonacci sequence. And so this is literally my contribution to Forex. So this number specifically and the 336 are ones that I just like did some tricky math and figured out why they were relevant. So that's my contribution to the Forex world. So, and the reason being is that everything follows a code. Everything follows a series. So if you notice, right, the 886 goes to the purple, 71 goes to the green, 786 goes to the blue. So if the market goes in between 71 and 786, see that? And let's say from here it decides to turn around, you're more than likely going to profit inside of here. It's a great place to take profit. And what I recommend is that you take your profit a little bit, whatever's nearest to you. That way you secure the profits, right? You don't get greedy stretching a little bit further. And then the 50%, I'm gonna leave that black because it's that balance, it's that midpoint. So here would extend to there. Sometimes you'll see market mitigates at 50%, and then we'll go to that 50%. So these are, I think, just key ones. You could add, I could add 618 right there for you if you want. Sometimes the market plays off of there. I'll add it just because. Let's see. Okay. And then 618 would go to this one, 414. And so I'll just resend this out again. And here you go in the chat. I don't use that as an entry. I actually almost never use that as an entry mode. Yeah, no. I'm just using that so you're aware of it. It's actually a lot of times you'll see it. And so it's actually a good spot to take profit. And let's say you're in a 4-hour bullish movement, right? Let's say you're in a 4-hour bullish movement, and then all of a sudden it stops right there, right? You see how it stops at 618, and then you kind of start seeing it go here. Let me rephrase. Let me restart that, right? Let's say you're bullish, and then on smaller time frame, you start seeing, actually we're starting to enter a retracement. So the 618 is a great place to take profit if you're going for short-term sells, because exactly this is where a lot of retail will start getting into the market. So you can see a lot of equal lows start to play out here. It's a great place to actually profit, just to lock your money in. And then what I'm going to do now as well is I'm going to actually draw where each line would go to, right? So this would go to there, Illuminati. Okay, hold on. All right. This would go to here. And then so on and so forth. These lines are really weird. I don't actually like these. But I think you guys get the point. I don't think I need to draw them for you guys. I think you get it. So I think so people can see this. I'll just take a picture of these two. Quit chasing and look for something better, but the smile that she shows makes me a go-getter. I have been going as far as asking if I could get with her. I just play love by ear and hope she gets the. All right, so now you guys have like the actual template, and then what you do now is double click it, and then call it whatever you want. Save as, let's say retracement. Retracement and extension. Whatever template. That's it, or you just call it that. Save it, and now you have it, and you always have it. So every time you draw it, or let's say you only want to have the 886 on your screen, then you could just do that, right? You can take everything off and then only have 886 and the 146, and then you're good, right? The ones that you're always going to have are the 0 and the 1, because that's where you start and end. Does that make sense? Any questions also? The one thing that I'm going to say regarding this fib, if you know the daily's on a bullish, it's bullish, right? And then you're trading bearish inside of this, like if you know you're trading inside of the retracement, then any of these 50, 618, 71, 786, almost all of these will fall short one fib level. So if the 618, right, normally, if this one's normally goes to the 414, it's more than likely going to fall at least 1 or 2 fib levels short. So the key is if you're going against the trend, so let's say I wanted to draw, you know, let's say I go to the 1 hour, right? And now I have structure here. Right, let's say I'm looking at this, and then I use my fib, and I'm going against the trend, and I'm looking at it like this. I go, okay, cool. What the market did, actually, it literally just did that. It pulled back to the 618. Look at that, equal highs at the 618, like I just talked about. And then it extended, and since we're against the trend, it actually fell short from where it normally would, and it went to that 336. So you can always, if you're going against the trend, then you're always good to take profits before the traditional extension. So you go a little bit shorter than you normally would. And so, yeah, you can use this as a great place to take profit and then to kind of see where you're at in the market. Another thing that you'll notice on top of that is if we have this here, you'll notice that this 336 will also align with the 71 there too. Right, so, but make sure your stuff is pretty clean. So fib, you're gonna wanna have it on your screen. Right? You're gonna wanna have that as one of the favorites. Is that, any questions, guys? Hope that's helping a little bit. So I think out of all of these, that's really gonna be the only one you need. The rest of these are just kind of nonsense. Brush, it's cool. Some of you, if you have touchscreens, it's pretty cool too, right? That you can click it here, do what you want, draw what you want, flow with it. Maybe if you're good with the mouse, that's a good one. Just if you need to freestyle a little bit, or you need to actually draw letters out, whatever. It's a great one to have, I think. Rectangle, good for highlighting. What I use it for is highlighting like specific candles, or if I want to identify, like for example here, if there's these equal highs, what I like to do is I like to draw out, okay, what you see here, and all above here is just going to be stop loss. I'll use this to just highlight something like that. But have fun with it. There's no rules to this. Make it your own. But I like to do that, and then I like to make it so it's pretty transparent. So then here, you know there's stop losses going on. Draw a little action here. Do whatever you want, because that's where the stop losses are. Do I think EU will buy from here? I don't know. I think that we have this to take care of still. It did mitigate over here a bit, and so we saw the market pop up, but I think we have a bit more to drop before we see it come up again. But I'd have to look into it a little bit deeper. Unfortunately, not the point of this call right now. So yeah, the rectangle, I'll do it to highlight. So like, for example, we did see the 1 hour here. I could go back. And so one thing I'm going to show you, let's say that you're back testing, or you're looking at the chart from the past. You can use this bar replay tool so that you can kind of eliminate whatever you don't really need right now. So I go to here, and then now I can just focus on this. And what this allows me to do is, it's not so much about getting rid of the rest. It's now that I can go to a different time frame and I start exactly where I left off. Where normally, if you go to a different time frame, it would go back to everything you were looking at before. Now it keeps my chart exactly where I want it. And now I can look at and go into more detail. So cool, I see this here, right? Shift, draw. I have my whatever there. Hold on, I need to fix this. Because I don't. So you can double click. Cool. Alright, so drop my line. Don't want this arrow. So what do I do? Normal. So it ends. And then, okay, now I know there's equal lows here. I also know here's where the market pushes down one last time. And not only does it take out these equal lows, where here's where you have a lot of buyers, but it also takes out these as well. And if you know you're going to use the same tool over and over again, you can click on this, which is stay in drawing mode. So if you're going to keep using this, then you can just draw this there, and then you don't have to click on it again. It's going to stay locked in on it. So then I can just draw this here, right? Draw this here, and then I don't have to go back and forth. I can just use it as I want. And then if you hit Control Z, it'll delete the last thing you drew. But if you need to use it as like, if you need to use the magnet tool, then you hit Control, and then it'll lock it in, whatever it is that you want to do. Command Z. Awesome. Thank you, Tim. So this, right? Cool. I see an institutional candle. I can highlight this right there for myself. I like to do different colors for certain things. So if it's an institutional candle, I'll turn it into like a light purple. Got it there. And then here's the important part. Here's where you make your charts a little more clear. See how this has visual order, right? Here's where you can move that rectangle, and you might see me do this all the time, and I do it pretty quick. I go send to back. So now you'll see here, it looks like it's kind of covering the candles. Now the candles are in front of the drawing, so the color is now behind it, so it doesn't like, so you can still see the candles pop out, right? And that's what I do, and you can do that with any tool. So if I do the risk to reward tool, then if it, as you're in blue, the candles are going on top of the color, so it just looks neater, right? So look at this, and then if I send it to the front, bring forward or bring to front, then you see how it's like dimmer. The candles are dimmer. So that's what I like to just send it to the back. If you have multiple things, then you can bring to front or bring forward if there's different like layers to it. So here we go. And then let's say I was like, all right, well, here is where market dropped. And then here's where I have that imbalance where it just pushes up aggressively. Let's say I wanted to draw fib level. Cool, I draw that there. I'm measuring the imbalance, and then I'm like, you know what? Here's where price dropped. Here's where we had previous last point of supply or like retail support before. And you know what? There's a 71 here at the same price. All right, I want to see if maybe the market comes back to there. You can draw a line there, right? I could even set an alert there if I wanted to. And then if the market ever came back to there, I would be good to go. Add the alert. If you're in replay mode, you can't add an alert. So let's see here. Let's see what happens. Cool. Market came right back to there within like a 10 pip range. And then, so you could have played that buy. And the only reason you were able to dissect it is because you kind of removed a lot of the market and just went deep into it. So that's how you could have played off that buy. And that's why we're seeing some market shift right now. But I think we have more going on over here that we could still trade. Do you always measure from the open of a candle where the market changes direction when using the Fib retracement? No. So I'll measure the entire movement because the open of a candle is dependent on the time frame. So for example, a lot of people, for example, let's go back to this, right? When people are looking at this move, and let's say you're looking at where it drops so that it can go up, right? Where the institution sold the buy. It looks like here's where it drops. And then here's someone say, okay, well, here's where it opens. Right? Here's where the hourly candle opens. Well, I don't care about where it opens. I care about where the movement really begins. Because sometimes the movement will begin before that hour even starts, in the previous hour. So if you notice, where does everything really start to pick up? Right here. At 825, you see the real candle start to stick out and push the market down. So here's where the market is really starting to move. Here's where institutions are really getting in. So then now I've just narrowed down my potential entry. All right, I've now narrowed it down for myself. So that's what I would be focusing in on. And if I'm gonna draw my fib, right, I'll just draw personally from where this movement starts, from where everything begins. That's how at least I do it, because I want to capture the entire movement. Opens and close depending on different time frames. You could miss something, because now this happened at 8:25, this drop, and I'm not entirely focused on the 1 hour. Right, I'm only focused on where it actually begins, and now I've made my stop loss a lot tighter. And then with fib levels, I just use the entire move. You can play around with it and see what works for you. All right, so rectangle, use it for whatever you want. Other tools, that's pretty much it for that one. Anchored text and text. So what are the difference between these? So anchored text is something where I put it out here, and then, for example, I do this, right? And then now, any single thing I do, regardless of what I move around or different time frame, then I still have it in the same exact place every single time, right? This is a good thing to use whether you're posting, these on whatever chart you're going to post. Always, drop your IG so people can share. And then what I like to do also on top of that is I like to drop my confirmations, right? So you can do something like this, and then now you have it in front of you. So this is a good way so that you remember what you think about is what you become, right? So here, you look at these enough times and then you become the signal. So this is just where you keep reminding yourself, maybe what order it's in, however you want to do it, right? So have fun with it. Keep it wherever you want. If you don't want it in front of you all of the time, but you want it there, what you can do is you can use the anchored note. So it's pretty much the same thing, but it's not showing all the time. So if I put it there, say I put this right there, and then what I can do is this. Say I do this, right? And now what happens is you won't see it unless I hover over it. So that's it. This is pretty simple. So you can decide what kind of things you want to use. Maybe you don't want your confirmations in front of you all the time, but you want to make sure to look at it. Boom, got it, right? So these are pretty simple. These are really easy things to use to keep your stuff intact. If you do text, then it'll stay. For example, if I write that here, if I write equal lows, look what happens. I got it there. And then if I move it, it stays there. But if I change my time frame, where's it going to be at? Right? It's going to stay where this is. But then also the font's going to stay the same. So I go to 5 minute. If I look over what's actually happening over here, whatever this is. No, I lost it. Oh, actually, I don't know if I made it visible. Oh, here it is. So the font's going to stay the same, so you can see it's huge compared to all these candles. Right, so it's just going to stay the same exact same spot. So I think a lot of times if you want to just keep it, this is if you want to keep it in that corner, always, right? The anchored ones. But if you want this to stay with the candlesticks, then you use the non-anchored ones. So hope that helps. And then this right here, I don't really need any of these at all. This is like retail central. Years of educating and practice simplified into this. Yeah, of course. And these are the things that it just makes your life so easy. And then now we're gonna get into some of the last things, right? Long position and short position, I like to keep them there, and it's a friendly reminder of your risk management. This will keep it'll keep your shit together, because here's where you go into it and you look at the market, and here's where you're like, okay, I like my setup, I have my entries, everything's looking good. And then, all right, cool. You know what? I'm going to get in. So let's say we're looking at the market here, right? And then you're like, you know what? I like my buy. And so I'm going to buy right here. And then here's you start adjusting your stop loss here. All right, cool. I'm going to put it beneath my low. And then look at this imbalance. I'm going to put it right over here. So immediately you can see, okay, this is a 1.7 to 1. Yeah, I don't know if I like those numbers. So maybe this isn't a trade that you take. You might have the entry, but remember the question always is this worth it? Is it worth it? Because if I lose 75 pips. Now that doesn't really matter because your risk should always be the same. The percent you're losing in that account should stay pretty similar. Or you should have rules. So if I'm going to go with the trend, I'm always risking 2%. If I'm going against the bigger time frame trend, then I'm doing only 1%. Right? So here, would it make sense to make $1.70 when you risk $1? Does that make sense for you? Yes or no? So it's a good reminder, right? So yeah, with that being said, guys, Mike Miles is starting in like 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap it up with a couple more things and then go ahead and get started. He almost always starts at 11:11. So we have a couple more minutes. So this is a good reminder, right? And the cool thing is, if you want your candles to go and ride above it, then you remember, go back here, do the send to back, and then you're good to go. So now it looks a lot nicer, right? Now the candles can just ride in front of it. And let's say you want to do two entries. You want to twin trade it, and maybe another one is going to be better. So what you can do is you put them next to each other, and then now you see, okay, cool. Here's my better one, better risk reward ratio. This maybe is a trade that I want to take, right? And then you can see 3.7, 1.81, and then you can kind of see what you want to do. Same thing with the other one. So this is the long position is for buys, and then the short position is for sells. It's the same thing, just that the other way. They're flipped, right? From there, that's really the only thing you're going to use. Here's a nice thing that you can do, which is called bars patterning. So here's how this works. You'd highlight this movement, and then you see how this happened, and then you can drag this somewhere else. So let's say you think, let's say something like this happens. Let's go to, okay, here's an example, right? This one's a little bit more advanced, but let's say you want to see, okay, well, this is what happened before. Was this from here to here? This is what happened in the past, this move. So now you have this, and what you can do is you can either flip it. So let's say you're looking for, or actually, my bad, instead of flip, mirrored, I think is what I was looking for. And now you have what would potentially pay out if you were looking for let's say you're looking for a sell instead of a buy. Or let's just say that's what you're looking for here, right? So then when it was ready to drop, could it potentially do something similar, right? So here, you can see, could it be the same things, do something similar? Something to play with, change the colors, make it nicer. But it just shows you like projections, right? Play around with some of these things, see what it looks like. But I think pretty much with that being said, there's a way to make it do it, always send it to the, is there a way to make it do it, what? Brady, can you rephrase that? How do I delete templates? Easy. So double click on whatever you want, go to template, and then there'll be an X next to whatever you highlight. Or let's say you hit this settings bar, or just do that. Right click, and then you'll see template, and then over there you can also just see a little trash can. So you can just delete it there. You know what? I haven't figured that out yet. There might be a way, so it auto sends to back, but I feel like I always have to do that. I'm sure you'll figure it out and then let me know. If you want to measure how much the market's moved, if you want to look at EU, then hit shift, click, and then just drag. So shift, click, and drag. And you can see here, this move, it says minus 231. that means it's dropped 230 pips. If you go up, it means it's gone up 140 pips, and that's used with this little ruler, clearly. And then the last thing is this little object section, where you can use whatever tools you want, get creative, have fun with your charts. If you want to zoom in on an area, let's say you only want to look at this, then you can use this magnifying glass. This. Click on that, and then I'll zoom in just on that. So zoom in, and you can zoom out right away. So in the magnet tool, let's say you wanted to draw this line, it goes automatically to the opens and the closes and the highs and the lows. So it automatically like snatches onto those, so you can draw lines a little nicer if you want them. That's using the magnet tool. So yeah, that being said, this show object tree is just like all the things that you have, and if you want to just delete them or hide specific ones temporarily. And then if you want to clear certain charts, go ahead and do that. Apparently I have 700 charts drawn up right now. So there's a lot going on. But yeah, as far as Tradingview goes, the one thing I do challenge you to do is start publishing ideas for yourself. I think it's just really cool to have. You can publish it straight to your Twitter. You can put certain hashtags, hashtag EuroUSD, hashtag QC. That'd be cool if everyone starts posting with their QC. You can make them public. You can make them private, publish private ideas. You can make them public. So if you lock it, it'll make it yours. If you unlock it, it's for the world, right? Categories, this is for you. You can make it educational, or you can make it just a straight analysis. Put whatever you want. You can set up links to this. You can do a lot with it. At one point, I was super active on this, sharing my stuff. I got to be a top analyst in all of Tradingview. So be consistent, and I'm sure you guys can do the same. I'm positive. So yeah, guys, it's about that time. My mouse should be getting started here in a couple minutes, in literally a minute. So I'll leave you all with that. Have fun with it. And yeah, let me know if you discover anything new. Drop it in the QC if you discover something new or something you want to add. But anyways, guys, appreciate you for being on this call. For sure. If you want to look at what you've been publishing, click here. And yeah, just enjoy it. Have fun. Create your watch list. So if you have certain pairs, you know how to make them. You can make different lists for them, et cetera, et cetera. So appreciate all of you.